Let's talk about Jeffrey Epstein, a name now synonymous with wealth, power, and shocking crimes. But before his name became a global headline, Epstein was a man who moved in the shadows of the world's elite, quietly amassing influence and fortune. Before the headlines, Epstein was a New York financier with a private island, jets, and a mansion, moving among presidents, princes, and celebrities. His lavish lifestyle was a ticket into the highest circles of power, where he cultivated relationships with some of the most influential people on the planet. He built an empire on secrecy, but beneath the surface, he was a predator. Behind closed doors, Epstein's world was one of manipulation and control, where secrets were currency and trust was a rare commodity. Epstein orchestrated a vast sex trafficking network, exploiting underage girls for years with the help of powerful associates. His crimes were not just hidden, they were protected by a web of enablers who turned a blind eye or actively participated. His crimes were systematic, not isolated, and the scale is still hard to grasp. Dozens of survivors have come forward, but many more remain in the shadows, their stories untold and their trauma unresolved. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges, and the world braced for a trial that could expose the elite. The case promised to pull back the curtain on a hidden world of privilege and abuse, but that trial never happened. Epstein was found dead in his jail cell in August 2019, officially ruled a suicide, sparking endless conspiracy theories. The circumstances of his death only deepened suspicions and fueled public outrage. His death left countless questions unanswered and ensured his legacy as a symbol of unchecked power and failed justice. For many, it felt like the system had protected itself once again, leaving victims without closure. Epstein's story is about more than one man. It's about a system where wealth shields the worst crimes. It's a cautionary tale about how influence and money can corrupt the very institutions meant to protect the vulnerable. He represents a network of enablers and a long list of victims still seeking the full truth. The fight for justice continues, as survivors and advocates demand accountability from those who allowed Epstein's crimes to persist. His case is a grim reminder that monstrous acts can hide behind polished facades. The trappings of wealth and respectability can conceal unimaginable darkness. The world is left wondering just how deep the rot goes. Each new revelation raises more questions about who knew what, and how far the cover-up extended, and the search for answers continues as investigators, journalists, and survivors refuse to let the truth be buried.
You've heard about the Epstein Files, the phrase that's been circulating in headlines, documentaries, and online forums for years. But what are they really? Are they a single explosive document or something much more complex? The truth is, they're not a single dossier, but a massive trove of documents. Investigation notes, police reports, and legal filings. Court records, flight logs, depositions, and more, all collected over years by law enforcement, lawyers, and journalists. Much of what's called the Epstein Files comes from a 2015 lawsuit by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, which became a turning point in the case. That lawsuit generated thousands of pages of sealed documents, kept hidden from the public for years. After years of legal battles and mounting public pressure, many of these documents were finally unsealed in January 2024, igniting a firestorm of public interest and debate. The files name a wide range of people: victims, employees, business associates, and social acquaintances, some of them high-profile and others virtually unknown. But context is everything. Being named doesn't mean guilt, and many names appear for reasons that have nothing to do with criminal activity. Some are accused of crimes and face serious allegations. Others are mentioned in passing as witnesses or simply as hearsay, with no evidence of wrongdoing. The files are a complicated mix of facts, allegations, rumors, and sometimes even outright speculation, making them easy to misinterpret or misuse. They've brought both justice and misinformation, exposing hidden networks but also fueling wild speculation and conspiracy theories. Navigating the truth in these files is tricky, requiring careful analysis, skepticism, and a willingness to separate fact from fiction. And as more information comes to light, one thing is clear: the story is far from simple, and the search for answers continues.
Epstein's crimes didn't burst into view in 2019. They simmered beneath the surface for years, hidden in plain sight while whispers circulated among those who dared to look closer. In the mid-2000s, Palm Beach police began investigating after a concerned parent reported abuse. Their investigation uncovered a disturbing pattern, revealing dozens of young victims and a network of enablers who helped Epstein evade scrutiny. Yet in 2008, despite mounting evidence, Epstein secured a shockingly lenient plea deal, serving minimal jail time with work release privileges and secret immunity for his powerful associates. The deal was struck behind closed doors, leaving victims in the dark. For the next decade, Epstein lived in luxury, traveling between lavish homes and private jets, shielded from real consequences by wealth and influence. The Miami Herald's 2018 expose reignited the case, shining a harsh spotlight on the failures of the justice system and pressuring prosecutors to finally act. Epstein was arrested in July 2019, sending shockwaves through the public. But just a month later, he died in jail under mysterious circumstances, taking many secrets with him and fueling endless speculation. Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime associate, was later convicted for her role in the abuse. Yet Epstein himself never faced a jury, and many questions remain unanswered. Public outrage and demand for answers led to the unsealing of key court documents in January 2024, revealing new details and reigniting calls for accountability. In July 2025, the Justice Department closed its investigation, citing Epstein's death and the need to protect victim privacy, but offering little closure. This move sparked bipartisan outrage, with Congress and the public demanding full disclosure and transparency from those in power. The fight for transparency continues, as activists, journalists, and survivors push for the full truth to come to light. Even years later, the case remains unresolved, with many still searching for justice and answers that seem just out of reach. The story is still evolving, and the public isn't letting go, demanding accountability from those who enabled Epstein and seeking justice for the victims. Epstein's shadow lingers over the powerful, a stark reminder that some truths remain hidden, waiting to be fully revealed.
Now let's address one of the most scrutinized names, Donald Trump. Trump and Epstein moved in the same elite circles in the 1990s and early 2000s, attending parties and appearing in photos together. Trump once called Epstein a terrific guy in a 2002 interview, a quote that hasn't aged well. After Epstein's crimes became public, Trump distanced himself, claiming he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago for inappropriate behavior. In 2025, reports confirmed Trump's name appears in the Epstein Files. But context matters. Officials say his name comes up in unverified hearsay, not direct accusations. Being mentioned isn't the same as being implicated. Trump's appearances in the files reflect social association, not criminal involvement. No credible evidence links him to Epstein's crimes. The official narrative, Trump's connection is peripheral, not incriminating.
When news broke that Trump was briefed about his name in the Epstein Files, the political world braced for impact. The White House and Trump's team quickly denied any wrongdoing, calling the story fake news. Trump claimed the briefing never happened, while the Justice Department confirmed his name appears in the files, but only in passing. Attorney General Pam Bondi and Deputy AG Todd Blanche emphasized the references are hearsay, not evidence. They insisted there's nothing to justify a criminal investigation. The official line, Trump's name is there, but it means nothing sinister. Critics remain skeptical, questioning why top officials would brief the president if it's meaningless. The involvement of Trump's former lawyer as Deputy AG only fuels suspicion. Instead of closing the issue, official statements have deepened public distrust.
The most persistent rumor, a secret client list of Epstein's powerful associates. Conspiracy theorists believe such a list would expose a global cabal, but the Justice Department says no such document exists. In their 2025 memo, the DOJ and FBI stated they found no formal client list, just a web of connections, not a ledger. Still, many believe the government is hiding the list to protect the elite. The continued withholding of some documents, even for victim privacy, only fuels suspicion. The official denial hasn't ended the rumors, it's only made them stronger. The myth of the client list endures, feeding endless speculation.
The Epstein case has united Americans in outrage and suspicion, regardless of politics. The lenient 2008 plea deal and Epstein's mysterious death convinced many that the powerful are protected. Polls show nearly 90% of Americans want all Epstein files released, with bipartisan support. The government's secrecy is seen as protecting elites, not victims. This lack of transparency has fueled conspiracy theories and deepened distrust in institutions. Every new development is met with skepticism as people demand the full truth. The story is now about more than Epstein. It's about a crisis of faith in justice and government. Until all questions are answered, suspicion will persist.
In early 2024, the Epstein saga took a bizarre turn with a public feud between Donald Trump and Elon Musk on X, formerly Twitter. After a major document release, Musk called for total transparency, demanding all Epstein files be unsealed. Trump fired back, accusing Musk of attention-seeking and deflecting from his own controversies. The spat became a social media spectacle, with Musk using memes and Trump using his trademark rhetoric. Importantly, Musk has no known connection to Epstein. He's just a commentator. The feud highlighted how the Epstein case has become a battleground for debates about transparency and elite corruption. Both men used the controversy to rally their followers and shape public opinion. The argument was less about truth, more about influence and brand building.
As of July 2025, Epstein's shadow still looms large. The story endures because it's about power, secrecy, and systemic failure, raising more questions than answers. Trump's involvement keeps the case politically charged, fueling endless debate. Official denials and persistent rumors like the phantom client list only add to public suspicion. The government's refusal to release all documents, even for valid reasons, feeds distrust. The Epstein saga remains unfinished. Justice for victims is incomplete, and the public demands accountability. Until every question is answered, the story will persist as a symbol of elite impunity and conspiracy. Sometimes the darkest truths are hidden in plain sight,